Okay, that's that. All right, now I'm wired up and electrified, and I'm wondering if, like I was at the Epic workshop. I happen to think Eva was the second best lecturer there. She won second place in my reckoning, but there were 5 judges. Maybe one was from New Jersey, I don't know, but anyway, so I was there. I was at the Epic workshop, and I was thrilled to the teeth to see young people studying the divine principle carefully. It was almost like I could get up from my grave, honestly speaking, and have some hope in the future that young people are studying the divine principle. It was a great relief for me. And their command of it was significant. It wasn't, oh, that's great because it's your first try. If you were listening to them teach, you were getting the divine principle accurately and well, and carrying the spirit of truth and of God, listening to people in their teens. So it was very, very enjoyable, very helpful for me, and I was grateful for the chance to be there. I taught 3 or 4 days there. And then Catherine, upon hearing that I was in the vicinity, asked me to come preach here. I'm always grateful to Catherine for millions of reasons. It's very hospitable for anybody visiting here, very well taken care of. And also, a pastor maintains a community for somebody like myself who's concerned about Father's message and True Parents' message, who's concerned about the future of God's work, who has something they hope to say or want to communicate. There's nobody to talk to other than the work of pastors who keep a community alive and well. So I think that people who come and talk, they don't, sometimes, I'm not sure, but I don't know if there's sufficient gratitude that the communities to whom people are talking or from whom they're making their donation requests or something are all maintained locally by the pastor and by yourself. So I'd like to just thank you for the invitation and thank the community for your solidarity and your capacity and your constancy. It's an excellent, go ahead.
The mic has to be closer.
Even closer.
Yeah, sorry. It's a little difficult things here. Like this, no? Okay.
All right, that's good. Anytime a rocket scientist is fiddling with your electronics, stay out of it. You know, I'm sure he'll get it better than I can. It's oh my gosh, no, I'm not gonna lie. It's too much. It's banging into me. I'll talk loud rather than, all right, okay. So in the middle of this, while I'm trying to concentrate, while I'm trying to deal with these youngsters, while I'm trying to concentrate on my lectures, I get an urgent text. I need the title of your sermon. I need it in 2 minutes. You know. I said, oh, this is rough. And it was rough for me to come up. And so Catherine thought my sermon was called Victors in Perilous Times. Victors in Perilous Times, which is already, I think, is a peculiar name for a sermon, isn't it? A little bit? But Vectors in Perilous Times, I think, might be the oddest sermon, not only in unification, but the history of Christian preaching. Vectors in Perilous Times, and I could not come up with any better, that's the even worse part of it, I could not come up with any better way of saying what I want to say. So, this sermon is not light and easy, it's not animated and fun, it's very wordy, but stick with me, there's just something I want to say, I think it's worthwhile, and just stick with me, all right? Okay, so, a vector is a geometrical object that has magnitude and direction. The important reason why I want to talk about vectors is that they have direction. You start in point A and then you begin to move in a direction. That's what a vector is. And the main point I want to call our attention to is, if you're vertical at 0 degrees or at 90 degrees, you arrive accurately at your destination. Everybody has heard this. If you are 1 degree off, if you travel for 6 months, you are very far away. If you travel for 1 year, you are extremely far away. If you travel as far as the moon or the sun, you are hopelessly far away. 1 degree off. And that degree is at the moment. It's now. It's when you start. And there's no way of telling, oh, it's close enough for jazz, oh, it's kind of the divine principle. I'm not sure the fall was it this or that, but as long as you know to be good kids, or any little variance takes us so far away from the ideal of God in a very short time that it is a very concerning matter to me. So the reason why I call our attention to something that seems so oblique and obscure of vectors. Why is a Sunday service going to be about vectors? My concern is that the starting point, if it's a little off, it's a huge problem. If you're trying to get to the moon, or you're trying to get to a planet, or you're trying to get to New York City, or you're trying to get to a destination, and if you start a little off when you start, there's the recovery of being so far away is a horrendous affair. It's great loss of time, great loss. And you've exhausted your time and money and expenses and gas or whatever it is. So how do vectors relate to our current responsibilities as human beings? I'm not talking about geometry or engineering or physics or trying to get to the moon. I'm talking about what are the degrees of accuracy or inaccuracy that are defining our contemporary lives and moments and decisions at the moment. True Father taught a tremendous amount about the metaphors and parallels between the natural universe and spiritual life. The more and more you get to this, the more and more wondrous the metaphysical and spiritual teachings of True Father are. They are probably, or I would venture to say, the finest, most thrilling, most far-reaching spiritual teachings in history. They're a thrill to be a part of. So that's why I said that this is wordy. Stick with me. I think it's worth it. Here's True Father speaking in his the Black Chunseongyong book, page 178. If you look at the tremendous motion within the universe, there is nothing vague about its direction. Already that's an amazing utterance. The universe, right? There's stars and planets, and Saturn is tilted this way, and Uranus has 9 moons, or I don't know what I'm talking about. But there's motion, there's like degrees of gravity. There's a certain amount of gravity that allowed life to form on Earth. The moon is X number of, the universe is seems like an absolute chaos of forces and directions. And True Father notes that there is nothing vague about its direction, nothing vague about any of the movement in the universe. Everything is moving according to laws. Subject and object partners always move in perpendicular relationships. Perpendicular relationships. Does everybody know what perpendicular means? Right angles, 90-degree angles. Whatever, and here's the thing. Whatever loses perpendicularity will be blown away, will flow away and be shattered. Subject-object relationships. Does everybody know that word? It's like you and me. It's like, hey, how you doing? Want to have a coffee? Yeah, no, I don't want coffee. I drink tea. Well, I don't care. Just, I'm asking you to go hang out with me. I don't care if you drink tea or coffee. That's a subject-object relationship. Or, you didn't do enough, you're not enough. That's a kind of a subject-object relationship. I get that anytime, or I love you madly, I can't wait to see you. That's a subject-object relationships. And what True Father is explaining in this lecture is that subject-object relationships are always perpendicular. They're exact, they're precise, they're not a degree off, they're not kind of. And it's very important for us to know if we're trying to establish true families. Okay, there's just an image. Yeah, all right. Perpendicularity. These are plumb lines, right? You get it. You get the importance of it. Try building a road without using a plumb line. Try building a building without using a plumb line. It'll fall over. It'll simply fall over. There'll be loss of life without working with perpendicularity. So now, how does this tie back to us? What is the yardstick for human beings? What is this perfection where we can't be a little off without really endangering and threatening our lives? What is this? It's called truth, Father explains. What is contained with the truth? Father says, a human being, I put the word she to kind of just shift up pronouns. You know, sometimes he, sometimes she. I hate the S/. So in Father speaking, he says he. She should be the standard of whom it can be said. She is accurate and true both vertically and horizontally. That means not a degree off. Otherwise, you start down a path that is a little off and you are very far away from your destination in a very short period of time. There's a guy with just raw stuff, mud and rocks that whatever they can pick up physically. He's got a plumb line. He's got a plumb line, and his wall can stand. It's serious business, but it's even more than this gentleman's wall. It's even more serious that someone, that ourselves, who want to be true individuals. That's why we are part of this community. That's why we love each other. That's why we sacrifice. That's why we donate. We're trying to be true individuals. And the standard is true vertically and horizontally, free of distortion. That's why I was so thrilled that the young people are studying the divine principle. One has to have a serious relationship with that. What is the yardstick for human beings? I read the first part, free of distortion. According to universal law, front and back, left and right, above and below become identical only when vertical and horizontal are aligned. So, here, familiar with that? Ever see that? Right? Yes, we have, right? Like a zillion times. It's the four-position foundation. The four-position foundation is the basis upon which all human equality arises. And the only possibility for equality of every single individual in the family and ultimately in the world family is, what I just read earlier, is only when the vertical and horizontal are aligned. Are men and women equal? Are they equal, or is one a little better, or one a little more important, or what's the answer to that question? Should be equal, right? Equal, right? That line has to be perfectly horizontal, not a little off. Perfectly horizontal. If it is a little off, I have this. If this is a little higher, this is a little lower. Every proportion in the geometrical metaphor of the family becomes out of equality. that one side is bigger, one side is smaller, one side is a little skill skewed or something like that. Equality in the family. Are children more important or are parents more important? Which? Dead equal. The only way equality can happen in human affairs, in every kind of thing. You ever turn on the television set of the news and you hear everybody yelling about racist this, sexist that, gender this, gender that. The air we breathe is choked to death with people shouting about oppression and inequality. The only solution to that is the clear metaphor which True Father has introduced in his explaining, that it matches the universe, its perpendicularity. He says without it, it's shattered and blown away. So accurate, true, both vertically and horizontally, free of distortion, that is how one must start. That is how one must start. If one does not have an accurate grasp, both intellectually and conceptually, in one's study of the divine principle, and in one's behavior, and in one's thoughts and prayers and dreams and sleeping and waking, if one does not even have this as an aspiration or intention or desire, if one doesn't even have this as clear as at least what I'm supposed to do at least, what chance is there of ever curing society? We're going to go yell and scream and hold up banners in front of the White House or in front of Ms. Cortez's apartment. What good is that? The only solution to human equality, the only dissolution to every claim of racism and gender and Israel and Palestine, etc., is people who understand or are committed to that which generates human equality. That which generates human equality. And when you can say, my child, my little crazy little guy who just completely drew with black crayon all over my newly painted, is absolutely equal to me, and he is, despite the crayon. The only way we can make such a claim is when we are aligned with the degree to which that God's principles are true and accurate and manifest. Okay, so with that as the beginning of my discussion of quote unquote of vectors, or of which way we go, a degree on, a degree off, or way off, I want to keep moving into content that is relevant to what's facing our community this day and age, and that's what I call perilous times. Our community this day and age are in perilous times, and it's very important for us to have strong, clear, absolute guidelines, at least for myself, regardless of what else is going on that's outside of my power to control. There's a lot going on in our community that are outside of my control, but I want to know about God's ideal, God's original ideal of creation. I want to believe in vectors. I want to believe in perpendicularity. I want to treat my wife as an absolute equal, That horizontal line in my family is beautiful, is a wonder to behold, like a Michelangelo. That's what I seek. Okay, so moving on to give a little painting of our times. This is a speech that Father gave in 2005 and 6. Not only Father, but True Mother gave it. Every single one of the True Children gave it. Dozens of Christian ministers gave it. It's called God's Ideal Family and the Ideal Peaceful World. 2006 mostly. Every single member of the True Family gave this speech tens of times in tens of countries, again and again and again. And then once Father was finished and Mother was finished and all the children were finished, then Father sent out Christian ministers. Hundreds of times this speech was given, and here's part of its content. Do you know what has pained God's heart most, causing him the greatest grief over the long history since the fall of Adam and Eve. God lost his lineage. Lineage is more important than life. That's pretty big, right? More important than love. Life and love come together to create lineage. Lineage cannot be established if either life or love is missing. What pained God's heart most was the loss of his lineage. That we can talk about for days, but this is a short sermon. I hope it's short. It is short. Okay. If this is so painful, if this is so important, if lineage is more important than life, why doesn't God simply fix it? If it's causing that much trouble, all troubles, why doesn't God simply fix it? In the same speech, a true father and all of his family and his followers all taught God is almighty. So it's not that God is powerless, almighty. It was not, do I have that up? It was not due to any shortcoming or lack of ability that he has been imprisoned in great pain and has endured immense suffering behind the scenes of history. And not only him, us, and our ancestors, and our mom, and our dad, and the poor pizza guy down the street, and everybody. Rather, and here's the explanation. There are provisions in the principle of restoration which he has not been free to disclose. So in the Divine Principle book, which Eva mentioned in her testimony, there's a section called the Principles of Restoration. They were not disclosed until now. They're only available now. And now that God has disclosed these, now we are able to address every last single problem that ever touches anyone ever. The principles of creation, restoration. The principle of restoration that he has not been free to disclose, that called him to wait. You know the word forbearance? It's a great word. It sounds lovely. Yeah, it's poetic. It just means patiently. Wait patiently until Adam and Eve's positions lost at the fall were recovered through the appearance of the perfected second Adam. That's what Father taught in 06. That's what Mother taught in 06. That's what every single true child ever born was taught in 06. And what every follower who was faithful and obedient to the true parents taught in 06. The restoration which he was not free to disclose could not come until Adam and Eve's positions were recovered through the appearance of the perfected second Adam. Although God is all-powerful, he will not set aside eternal laws and principles that he himself established. He can't cheat. He can't come up with a little clever, he can't get past his own principles. That's his burden. And what allowed God to finally begin to do the work of making our lives delightful and joyful and wondrous and happy are true parents. It's explained here. Only when Adam and Eve could appear could the principles of restoration be introduced, and can we begin to liberate God from her suffering. Okay, now, why do I call these perilous times? Perilous times. I made a picture of a New York Times article. Of course, New York Times has to give a little dig at Father even after he's dead. Thank you very much. Very nice of you, editorial people of New York Times. Self-proclaimed Messiah. All right, can't even give a guy a second of peace, even when he's died. But it's a respectful article, and in a certain way, it's kind of true. He did explain that he is. It is a true word. It's just not very nice sounding, But that, despite the fact that, independent of that matter, what makes these perilous times is that the founder of a spiritual community has died. Yes, True Mother is with us. Yes, True Mother is accomplished and established as true parents. This is a fact, and this is a fortunate matter for us. But the simple fact of the matter is that when a founder of a spiritual movement like Jesus, or like Moses, or like Abraham, or like Ramakrishna, or like Mahavira, when they die, there is a crisis in the faith community. There's no way around it. The presence of the founding charismatic or founding God-present leader is the one that holds the community safely through difficulties and challenges and difficult decisions for ourselves. When the founder dies, there are perilous times. That was the second half of my sermon title, Perilous Times. Okay, this is a controversial position of mine. If you need to string me up or crucify me, I don't know if there's space out back after the sermon. Okay. It's my point of view that from 1994 onward, the movement abandoned its piety of attending true parents and became a movement of following true parents. These two things could not be more different. From 1994 onward, the movement slowly moved away from attending true parents to become a movement of following true parents. Attending and following are radically different realities. The way this happened was, in my opinion, or part of the reasons why, is that in 1991, True Father met Kim Il-sung and succeeded to complete the mission of establishing himself as Messiah on the world level. Meeting Kim Il-sung established True Father as Messiah on the worldwide level. The next level after world level is cosmic level. That means that he has to become the Messiah not only for the world, but for all the spiritual world and all the physical world. And during this period was when True Father and True Parents started introducing all the revelations from the spiritual world. Does anybody remember this? Even if you're a kid, maybe you read it, it happened in your house around you, maybe. Any kids remember this, these spirit world messages? Yeah? Okay. All right. So basically, we move into a period where the concrete work of true parents is much more difficult to understand. We're getting letters from dead presidents, letters from God, letters from Satan, and so on and so forth. It's much easier and much more exciting when True Father and True Parents are going up to North Korea and doing politically unimaginable victories. And with these victories becomes Messiah of the world. But to unite all of the spiritual world and all of the physical world, then it's on the cosmic level. The membership and the leadership, in my humble opinion, were not able to track true parents well enough in this very rarefied restoration work. At the very same time that this happens, the pledges changed to have a doctrine of absolute obedience. And I write, so first the providence changes from the world, which is cool. Here's a picture of Sun Myung Moon meeting, here's a picture of true parents, mother and father, meeting Kim Il-sung. Oh my God, no one ever dreamt this was possible. Kim Il-sung tried to kill them. This is amazing. Okay, now what are we going to have? Here's a picture of Satan at his desk, writing a letter, dear Sun Myung Moon. No more pictures, no more walking out on the street saying, yeah, I'm a Moonie, yeah, I'm a Unific, yeah, I follow Sun Myung Moon. Look at this picture. This guy tortured Sun Myung Moon to death, and there he is hugging him. Now what am I going to say? Here's a letter, I have it, from God. It's harder to to account for and lead what true parents are doing now. The cosmic level and the level after the coronation of God's kingship is a difficult time. And so, and unfortunately, at the identical same time I write, here's what I write: the introduction and immediate and persistent misunderstanding and perversion of the doctrine of absolute obedience. That entered the pledge. And so it was very handy to have, oh, I don't, just obey. Don't ask me about Satan. I don't really know if no one will ever say I don't really know. Of course he wrote the letter to just obey. Don't ask me, you know, why are there really 100 billion spirits? Just obey, absolute obedience. And I believe that we're in a 25-year period of abandoning, trying to account for what true parents are doing. But when I call it a misunderstanding and perversion of the doctrine of absolute obedience, here's the place where doctrine of absolute obedience appears. In pledge number 8, maybe many of you use it. Maybe many of you use it in your lives. Listen to this. Pledge number 8 of Chunuguk Mensei says, achieve the ideal oneness of God and humankind in love, through absolute love, absolute obedience, absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience, thereby perfecting the realm of liberation. And half a year later, Father went back and rewrote more. He added another little part, and the realm of being completely free. So in case the words realm of liberation is not clear enough, he adds, and the realm of being completely free. Does that really sound like living under some sort of odd insistence that absolute obedience means just doing anything anybody ever tells you because somebody said? Absolute obedience is a piety and a spirituality said clear out by true parents themselves, that it makes us absolutely free. Whatever that is, we should all, every time we're presented with the requisite or request to be obedient to anything, because we should really check, is this making me absolutely free? Is that request a part of me becoming absolutely free? Are you with me on that? Are you with me on that? I'm not saying don't support your leaders or don't obey when somebody tells you to do something. I'm the most obedient guy I know, but that has nothing to do with absolute obedience. Absolute obedience has to do with my liberation, and in case I didn't get that, also being completely free. You know, this is okay. So what I call what I believe happened, and what I've gone out on a limb, and it's very risky, I think, to say that true parents moving into cosmic restoration and the doctrine of absolute obedience put us into a place where we lost attending. Attending someone is, what are you doing? Can I help? To obeying. I don't really know what you're doing. Just tell me what to do. I can't figure this out. I don't know how you got the letter from Satan. Just tell me what I'm supposed to do. Just tell me what to me, it's an abandonment of personal responsibility. And now we come to a time, sadly, true Father ascends to the spiritual world. And what we basically need is somebody to tell us what to do. We've been doing that for 25 years. I don't really get what you're doing. I don't really get cosmic restoration, but just tell me what to do. I love you. I love you. I'm your son. You're true parents. You're the representative of God on earth. And I don't really know what you're doing. Just tell me what to do. That's fine. That's fine, unless you get many members of the true family saying, I'm the one who's supposed to be telling you what to do. No, I'm the one who's supposed to be telling you what to do. No, I'm the one who's supposed to be. And those are perilous times. Does that make sense? Would you agree? Would you agree? And so our community is being broken up into people saying, no, he's the one who's supposed to be telling me what to do. No, she's the one who's supposed to be telling me. And the point is, nobody's supposed to be telling you what to do. We have our own mission and our own responsibility. Here's our mission and responsibility. Support true parents. That's mission number one. That's my own job. Nobody's telling me to do that. I want to do that. I like them. I'm sorry that their job is difficult. I wish I could do something to help. What do you need? Do you need a couple of dollars? All right. What do you need? Do you need somebody to run around the streets, give out a little card that says something? All right, I don't mind. Whatever helps, I'll help. My mission is to support my own parents. It doesn't mean obey anybody or anything. It's to support. That's attendance. That's filial piety. That's what True Mother calls hyojang. And my other mission is to realize my own ideal true family. We have that job. No matter how much I help mother and father, or at these days mother, no matter how much I help, it'll never make me realize my own ideal family. Do you think if I give away 1,000 little cards that says, hi, I don't know, it's going to make me get that my wife is exactly equal to me? No, that's its own work. That's my work in the principle. So perilous times require a good, clear starting point. And the good, clear starting point is not to be a little off. Not to be a little off. A good, clear starting point is a perfectly vertical relationship. Perfect. God and me, parents and me, it's perfect. It's not a degree off. Me and my wife, me and my conjugal is perfect. It's not a degree off. Once we know what our job and our mission and our responsibility is, we transcend the difficulties, we transcend the perilous times, and we don't start down any path that's going to be way offline in a short period of time. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll pray. Okay. Our loving God, we are so grateful to you that you, with infinite power, bind yourself in the principle. And we're so grateful to true parents who have at last brought you completely and fully in our midst. Loving God, please give every one of us in this room endless power, knowledge, strength, talent, energy, health, everything we need to advance your kingdom, to glorify true parents, to make every one of the ones beside us look great, be great. Please allow this community that is grounded in your love, in your sacrifice, and in your principles, and in true parents, and the lineage, your lineage which they have brought to earth in us. Please bless these people here and all of our brothers and sisters to rise and ascend and become a balm of healing and a basis for building a kingdom of joy and happiness. Thank you for everything you've given. Thank you for true parents and for one another. We report all together as Blessed Central families. I report in my name, Kaufmann Blessed Central Family, Aju.